From his insane rise to the top to possibly tarnishing his legacy, this is why the bravest thing Anthony Joshua can do is retire. Anthony Joshua's journey from a raw talent to a boxing superstar is a tale of hard work, determination, and sheer skill. You see, starting off, Joshua didn't step into a boxing gym until he was 18, which is pretty late for someone who would go on to dominate the heavyweight division. But once he did, it was clear he had a knack for it. In just 3 years, he went from a newbie to winning gold at the 2012 London Olympics. Now, what set Joshua apart early on wasn't just his physical strength, which is immense, but his ability to learn and adapt. He's got this incredible work ethic. Imagine grinding day in and day out, pushing yourself to the limits, and still having the hunger to learn more. That's Joshua for you. When he turned pro in 2013, the buzz around him was huge, and he didn't disappoint either. Fight after fight, he kept knocking people out, climbing the ranks at a pace that had everyone talking. By 2016, he had grabbed the IBF heavyweight title, and it felt like just the beginning. What made him so good? It's a mix of things. First, his power. When Joshua strikes you, it's like being hit by a truck. Then there's his speed and agility. For a big guy, he moves really well, dodging punches and landing his own. In his prime, Joshua was unstoppable. He unified the WBA, IBF, and WBO titles, becoming the king of the heavyweight division. Watching him fight was like seeing a master at work, blending power, technique, and strategy to perfection. What's truly impressive about Joshua is how he brought boxing back into the spotlight, especially in the UK. His fights became must-watch events, drawing in crowds and viewers who hadn't paid attention to boxing for years. But things have changed now. The business side of Anthony Joshua has taken over, leaving some fans wondering about the fighter himself. It's like he's been more focused on making money than on building a legacy that'll be remembered forever. And hey, there's nothing wrong with securing the bag. But for fans who shell out their hard-earned cash for a bit of excitement, they want to see a fight, not a one-sided show. Remember when Joshua was on top of the world after grabbing Olympic gold in London? He was an unstoppable force, a heavyweight champ with everything going for him. It's tough to see him differently now, but life's about more than just sports, right? Joshua came from a tough background, where sports were his way out of a life filled with challenges and limited chances. He was always upfront about his journey, admitting he was still learning and promising to do his best. And boy, did he deliver! Especially with that unforgettable win against Vladimir Klitschko. Getting knocked down but then coming back to win? That was legendary. It was like he was ready to take on the world, aiming to stand shoulder to shoulder with the greatest heavyweights ever. And now, a lot of people think it might be time for Joshua to hang up his gloves. He started off with a bang, grabbing that gold medal in the super heavyweight division at the 2012 Olympics. Just 4 years later, he clinched the IBF World Heavyweight title by taking down Charles Martin. But fast forward to now, and it's a different story. Joshua's game hasn't really moved forward. Worse still, he doesn't seem to have that fire anymore, the kind that had him pushing past limits to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, like he did against Klitschko. With 3 losses in his last 6 fights, things aren't looking great. Changing trainers hasn't helped much either. Leaving Rob McCracken, who had been by his side for years, and switching coaches twice hasn't turned things around. His fight against Jermaine Franklin was, to put it mildly, underwhelming. Paul Magno, a boxing writer, nailed it when he said Joshua's performance was far from what you'd expect from someone who was once hailed as the next big thing in boxing. The whole match was like watching someone tiptoe around, too scared to make a move, which was a far cry from the Joshua we knew, the one who'd face anything head-on. At 34, Anthony Joshua stands at a crossroads. Sure, stepping back into the ring could net him a hefty payday, adding to an already impressive fortune. Money at this point isn't the driving force it once might have been. Joshua has secured enough wealth to last generations, making the financial aspect less of a motivator to keep fighting. But boxing, as we all know, demands a price far beyond monetary value. It's a sport that takes a toll on those who dare to enter the ring, especially in the heavyweight category, where the physical stakes are incredibly high. Let's talk about the risks, the kind that linger long after the cheers have faded. Unlike any other sport, boxing's impact on the body, particularly on the brain, is profound and often irreversible. There's no sugarcoating the reality that repeated blows to the head, a common occurrence for boxers, leads to brain damage. And when those blows come from heavyweights, the damage can be even more severe. The question isn't if, but how much. Dr. Margaret Goodman, a neurologist, pointed out the insidious nature of chronic brain injuries in boxing. Symptoms can steadily progress and only become apparent long after a boxer has hung up their gloves. By then, it's too late to reverse the damage. This grim reality should give any fighter pause, prompting a serious reassessment of their career's longevity. Imagine Anthony Joshua, a former heavyweight champion, facing off against powerhouses like Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. The thought of Joshua enduring more punishing blows is unsettling. His ambition to reclaim the heavyweight title is understandable. Losing to Alexander Usyk twice has left him yearning for redemption, a chance to prove he still belongs at the top. That desire, that burning need to be championed again, is palpable. But at what cost? Those who stand to gain financially from Joshua's continued presence in the ring might push for more fights. It's a common scenario in the boxing world where a fighter's well-being often takes a back seat to the potential earnings of another blockbuster event. However, the responsibility for a fighter's health ultimately lies with the fighter themselves. There comes a point where the risk of continuing outweighs any potential reward, monetary or otherwise. For Joshua, this isn't just about making more money or even about reclaiming his title. It's about weighing the long-term impacts on his health against the immediate glory of victory. The charm of the ring, the adrenaline rush of competition, the chance to once again be crowned champion, all of these are powerful motivators. Yet, they must be balanced against the hard truths of boxing's toll on the body and brain. Choosing to step away from the sport isn't an admission of defeat. It's an acknowledgement of a fighter's humanity and their vulnerability. It's about recognizing that life extends beyond the ropes of the ring, filled with potential experiences that require a sound mind and body to fully enjoy. The truth is, AJ has reached the pinnacle of boxing. There's nothing left for him in the sport that could surpass the glory of the night he defeated Klitschko. Continuing to fight means risking more than just a loss in the ring. It means risking his health and his future. The threat of long-term brain damage isn't worth any title. Joshua has so much more to give to the world outside the ropes of the ring. Though I don't claim to know Joshua personally, the brief interactions at media events, combined with what is observed from afar and heard from those closer to him, paint a picture of a man who is not just an athlete, but a genuinely good and graceful person. Many fans admire him for what he's achieved and for who he is outside of his public persona. I hope he considers this perspective. It takes immense courage to step into the ring, but sometimes it takes even greater courage to step away. The decision to stop fighting and to choose a future free of the physical toll of boxing demonstrates a fighter's strength rather than weakness. The sporting world is filled with cautionary tales of athletes who lingered too long in the arena. Take, for example, the legendary Muhammad Ali, whose career extended into battles that many argue should have never happened, leading to health complications that affected his later years. The essence of a true champion lies not just in their victories, but in their ability to recognize the right moment to step away. For Anthony Joshua, that moment is now. By retiring, he can control the narrative of his career, choosing to end on his terms rather than letting the sport dictate his legacy. It's a decision that requires courage, humility, and a profound sense of self-awareness, qualities that Joshua has demonstrated throughout his career. So, from possibly tarnishing his legacy to his insane rise to the top of boxing, this was why the bravest thing Anthony Joshua can do is retire.